Well, since my Kenshi Let's Play ended so abruptly, I thought I would start Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. I will continue, or I should say I will start another Kenshi Let's Play also. I'll just play in both games right now, so figured I would record this and also give me more opportunities to mess around with video editing. I want to start a new campaign. Look at populating the world and starting the new campaign. Now, I think I'm going to start. There's 6 starting choices. Botanians are basically the woodsmen. The Khuzaits are the steppe people. Steppe as in mountain steppes. The Azurai are the desert people. The Empire is the fading old empire that used to have a lot of glory and was tied together. Now it's fractured into 3 different sections: the Northern Empire, the Southern Empire, and the Western Empire, who are embroiled in a civil war. The Sturgians are the mountain folk, and the Valandians are who I'm going to start as. They're descendants of adventurers from the West who lived under the Empire for centuries before forming an independent kingdom. With the decline of imperial authority, they have evolved into a well-organized feudal society led by a caste of warlike nobles who prefer to fight with spears and lances on horseback. Now, their faction bonus is 20% more upgrade XP to troops from battles. I think that's a good idea, so we're going to go with that. Now, I don't really care what this character looks like. The only thing I care about is the voice.
Attack! Make a line! Pull back! Release arrows! Circle! Yeah! Raise the ladders! Bastards! Make a shield wall!
Okay, I'm going to lower his voice pitch.
Make a circle! Form a shield wall!
Yeah, we're going to leave it low like this. I don't care about anything else. Going to be wearing armor most of the time. Now, when the game starts out, it gives you a lot of starting choices to decide what you want. Your decision, your choices here will influence what stats your character has when you exit this portion of it. It starts off, you were born into a family of, and if you hover your mouse over these, or click on them actually, it'll tell you, for example, this gives you 10 skill level and 1 focus point to riding and polearm, and it'll be highlighted in green, tell you riding and polearm. That's a baron's retainers. Father was a bailiff for a local feudal magnate. He looked after his liege's estates, resolved disputes in the village, and helped train the village levy. He rode with Lord's cavalry, fighting as an armored knight. So since your father was an armored knight, you know more about polearms and horses. Now you also have the choice of urban merchants, and as you can imagine, you can see here it adds to your charm and to your trade ability. Yeoman adds to polearm and crossbow. Blacksmith, as you would expect, adds to smithing and two-handed, because you're a large, strong individual from working at the blacksmith all day long. Hunters. Hunters is going to be scouting, because you are able to track animals, and crossbow, because you're hunting and you shoot them at a distance. Mercenaries will give you roguery and crossbow. Now, for the purposes of this playthrough, I'm going to go with a baron's retainers. Normally, I think the best thing to do is I like to choose something that gives me athletics, because athletics is so awful hard to raise just during normal gameplay, because you tend to want to be on a horse the whole time, and the only way to get athletics is to be on foot. Being on foot is not a good idea when you're fighting battles, in my opinion. For me, my play style. So I'll start off, since there's nothing here that gives me the option for athletics, I'll start off with Baron's Retainers. Now there's about 3 or 4, maybe 5 of these choice screens. So leadership, you can see it gives me tactics and leadership. Brawn, which gives me two-handed and throwing. My attention to detail, now that gives me some athletics and one-handed. That's a good thing, athletics and one-handed. Aptitude for numbers, I don't want to be a trader. That gives me trading and engineering. Your way with people gives me charm and leadership. And skill with horses, once again, gives me another horse point for riding and medicine. Now, I'm going to go back and do the leadership, attention to detail, because I do want athletics and one-handed. That comes in very, very handy when you're forced to battle on foot and or you're sieging, because you're not going to ride a horse up a siege ladder. Now, I herded sheep, another athletics point, and throwing. I don't care about throwing, though. Here we've got smithy, engineering, and smithy. Gather herbs in the wild, which again helps my scouting and my medicine. Hunted small game, well, as you can imagine, that's going to be tactics and bow as opposed to the crossbow. And sold produce at the market, which again is if you want to be a trader. I don't want to be a trader. What I want to do is take the athletics again. Don't really care about throwing, but I do want that athletics skill. Now, athletics, the reason I say I want athletics is very important, because there are certain, once you raise it high enough, the weight of your armor does not slow you down. And you always want to wear, myself personally, I always like to wear the heaviest armor that I have access to that gives the greatest protection. And if anything I can get that will lower the effect it has on my foot speed is great. Here's another one. Now, I served as a baron's groom, which gives me tactics, and steward. Trained with the cavalry, which again gives me horse and polearm. Stood with the garrisons, which gives me engineering and crossbow. Rode with the scouts, again horses and bow. Trained with the infantry, well, that gives me polearm and one-handed. And joined the skirmishers. Again, I don't really care about throwing, but this gives me one-handed and throwing. Infantry would be even better, because on horseback I like to use a polearm, so this gives me the one-handed and the polearm. And there apparently is nothing here that will give me, see, there's nothing here that gives me athletics, so I'm going to go with the one-handed and the polearm, which is trained with the infantry. Even though trained with the cavalry, horses you're riding all the time, so that you tend to train up on them okay. Right now, young adulthood. I defeated an enemy in battle, which is one-handed and two-handed. Successful manhunt, which is tactics and leadership. Invested some money. Trade, smithing. I hunted a dangerous animal, which is both bow and crossbow. Famous escapade in town. This gives me another athletics and roguery. I don't care that much for roguery. It doesn't really affect my gameplay, but I do want that athletics. So we're going to go with a famous escapade in town. And this one. You subdued a raider, which gives me another athletic skill and one-handed, which again, those come in so valuable when you're sieging. Drove them off with arrows. Rode in on a fast horse. I tricked the raiders. And I organized the travelers to break out. I'm going to go with subdued a raider, because I really want that endurance. And the one-handed just is icing on the cake. All right, so that's it. Those are the choices. Then you just come up with a name. My name is going to be Joe. Very, very, very obvious name for me. And this tells you the results of my choices. Obviously, for Valandia, I get 20% more upgrade XP to troops from battles. My family, I was a baron's retainer, attention detail, herded sheep, so forth and so on, and that's how I come up with the stats that I have now. Now, this is I'd normally just leave all this as is. I want to do my own enabling of perks and so forth and so on. I'm still... Alright, you start out, you gain the level to start, but I'm gonna skip the tutorial since I have done it before. You just learn how to use a sword, learn how to use a bow, and how to ride a horse, the basic stuff. Alright. This looks like an old training field for the legions. Perhaps we can spare some time and brush up on our skills. The practice could come in handy when we catch up with the raiders. Now, this backstory is the guy looking at you, looking towards you from the screen, is my brother, and I have my back of my head shown on the screen. And our family some members of our family was kidnapped, so we're trying to head off after them. And I think we have no time to lose. We can do more if we split up, and that will choose skip the tutorial. And my brother Nogan says, "Are you sure about that? This option will finish the tutorial. Is recommended you pick the option if you want to play." And I've already played the tutorial, and yes, I'm sure. Let's move out. All right, then let's split up and look for the little ones separately. I'll send you a word if I find them before you do. One other thing, brother, we want people to take us seriously. We may be leading men into battle soon. Let's give our family a name and a banner like the nobles do, which is fair enough. And these are just starting out quests. Alright, so we can go back to training or leave. We are going to leave. A few hours after you leave the training ground, you come across a wounded man lying under a tree. You share your water with him and try to dress his wounds as best you can. He tells you he is a traveling doctor. To thank you for your help, he hands you a small bronze artifact, which he says was once given to him in payment by a warrior who said only that it was related to Neritz's folly. He suspects it might be of great value. You resolve to find out more. Alright, my family name is going to be Day... Qualonia. Let's see. And the reason I put Day is all the family names from this faction they start with D-E-Y. I don't know. But Day Constantine, why not? For our banner, we're going to have I rather like that on a blue background or a black background. I'm gonna go with a blue background. We'll make that just a little larger. That's gonna be our banner. Alright, we start off just me and a horse. And what we need to do is, you can see here we've got some icons. This is the quest. Tells me that I've got a couple of quests here. The first one being establish your clan. And it gives us, we got to increase our dinars, dinar being the money of the game, by 1,000. Grow my party to 20 men. Reach clan tier 1 and hire 1 companion. And that will fulfill the establish your clan. Now this one here is something you can do, but it leads to another quest and another quest and several other quests, and it's not finished yet. The quests are not done, so it's just a dead end basically. I'm going to ignore those. All right, so let's ride to these. Let's see if we can recruit some troops. Now I'm going to recruit because you start out. We're in the Southern Empire, and I don't want to be here. I want to be Valandia, which is over here in the far west. So I'm going to recruit some troops just so I'm not taken out by bandits. You can see here some looters that have 22 people. So I've got to get some people in my group so that we don't get taken out by bandits just on the way of trying to get over there. I've also only got enough food for 1 day, so I'm going to have to buy some food. We start off with 1,000 dinars. I'll stop off here in Zionica to purchase some more food. You run out of food and your morale goes down. Your morale goes down and your forces will break at the beginning of combat. It won't take very long for their morale to cause them to flee the battlefield, which is not a good idea. Nothing here to recruit, so let's trade. We want to get some food. We start out with 1 bag of grain. For now, we're just going to get some grain. That gives me 5 days worth of food. I've only got 210 inventory space, and you can see that 5 uses 50. Also, the more inventory you have, the slower you run. Here it tells you my base party speed is 4.9. Since I am on a horse, I'm considered cavalry, so that's a plus 0.29. My cargo within the capacity, that 50 is 0.02, slows me down that much, and the game difficulty setting, which is whatever the default was, I think very easy, is 0.49. You can see we have a variety. We can buy horses and saddles and harnesses. A huge variety of clothing, both for civilian outfits and battle outfits. But again, this is going to cost money. For now, it looks like I started out with a spiked mace and a short spear. My first opportunity, I want to buy a different spear. Now, this thing is really nice. This fine steel Menelavian is very, very nice, but of course I can't afford it. It's 1400. I'm just going to go with what we have now, which is the Western short spear. I don't really care for the mace. Maces are good because they do blunt damage mostly. And when you're first starting out and you want to make money, you make money from prisoners. You can ransom your prisoners off or sell them into slavery. And if you use a blunt weapon, it allows you to capture more prisoners because they don't die as often when you're hitting them with blunt. Now, I looked at the quest. Now, I also have an icon of a character, and when I very first started, it says you gained a level, so I want to see what that's about. Here, one-handed, because of my skills, it gave me some good one-handed. So I can have deflect or basher. Now, deflect, one-handed weapons you wield have their handling increased by 20%. Troops in the formation you are leading have their one-handed combat effectiveness as if they were 1 tier higher. I like that. Shield bashes. Now, I don't particularly use a lot of shield bashing, so I'm going to go with deflect. Morning exercise. Increase your movement speed by 10%. Hit points I don't particularly care about. I'd rather have the faster movement speed. Okay, now I've got a focus point. Focus points, you can invest in any of these skills, and it increases how fast you learn the skill. You can see, for example, right now, my athletics already has 4 focus points in it. I'm going to go ahead and put another. Makes it learning rate at 13.09% faster than normal. And that's definitely what I like. Back on our journey. Did buy food for 5 days. Try to make it all the way to Valandia without getting waylaid. Because I don't want to grab a lot of... Ooh. Be careful there. Be careful. See, there's a group of 24 of them. Now, what will happen if I had kept going and that 24 engaged me, that 5 would have joined. So it would have been 29 versus 10. Yes, I could have defeated them with the 10 troops I have, but it would have been... I would have had to use a kiting method, and it would have been very boring to do. And notice how they're still chasing me. They know they can defeat me is what they believe, so they're chasing me. Otherwise, bandits and looters always run from you. If they think they have no chance, they'll generally run from you. Now you can see here, this icon says that this town is being raided. So this is the Western Empire. This color is Western Empire, and they're at war with someone. I cannot see that at this time without looking. Well, I guess I can look in encyclopedia. Kingdom, Western Empire. They're at war with Britannia. That's the major faction. These are minor factions. Britannians are right here. And you can see there's a Britannian army raiding this particular town. Alright. Now what I want to do is actually recruit some Valandian troops. Excuse me. So we're going to start the process. How you recruit troops in Bannerlord is just go village to village. That's good. If I could get 11. If I had 11, I could recruit that squire, which later will go into a knight, which is really good. I like horses. I like horse troops. For now, though, we just have to take the recruits. I'll get Valandian recruits and then get rid of the Empire recruits. I prefer to use all one faction. If I'm playing as Valandia, then I only want to use Valandian troops. If I'm playing as Empire, I only want Empire troops. And each faction does have pluses or minuses for the troops, in addition to what you see as your starting bonuses. For example, the Empire troops, when you look at in the encyclopedia for any troop, you'll see here, for example, these guys start with a riding skill of 5. Now, the lowest horse in the game that you can ride that is any good is a 10, a riding skill of 10. And you can see the very first tier of troops after recruits. For example, here's the recruit. You can go the crossbow side. He has a riding skill of 20. You can go the footman, i.e. infantry side. He has a riding skill of 15. So anything above a recruit can ride the level 10 horses, which is a good thing. Now, if I was looking at the Empire, let's take the Southern Empire, for example, and we want to look at Imperial. We'll just go Imperial Sergeant Crossbowman. All right, here's a recruit. He starts with a riding skill of nothing. You see that? Imperial recruit, riding nothing. Cannot ride a horse. Here's the first level of the Imperials. Riding skill is only 5. He still cannot ride the good horse. He can ride an old broken down, an old horse, basic horse, but just cannot ride a decent horse. And it's not until the 1, 2, 3, basically the third tier of troops, that they even get the ability to ride the most basic, useful horse in the game. And when your infantrymen do not have a horse to ride, when you're moving across the map, they go at walking speed. If they can ride a horse, when they're moving from A to B, they will mount the horse to travel, and then when they get to the battlefield, they'll dismount. So it does make your map movement a lot faster. But you got to be very careful, because people will buy a lot of horses and they don't understand that you got to have a riding skill to ride the horses. Even for the Imperial side, you can see the top of the line troops still only have 20 to riding. So they still cannot ride the best horses in the game. They can't even ride the mid-tier horses. That's the downside to the Imperial, even though the Imperials probably have the best. Well, I really like the Imperial units, but they got good armor, so forth and so on. But again, that map speed really throws you off. Let's see. Let's just keep recruiting. I want to get to 20 recruits, 20 Valandian recruits. I have 20 now, but part of them are Empire troops. Okay, I'm over the limit. Now it's time to get rid of some troops. We'll get rid of all the Imperial. There's 9 of them. We'll just get rid of all of them. Okay. Now the downside, if you want to call it that, to the way this works, recruiting, is that you, the player, and the AI all do the same thing. So, as you can imagine, let me leave this for a minute so you can see. If you only have a few cities, like the Botanians here, they've got, as you can see, 5 cities. They can only recruit from that area. Well, they can recruit from anywhere. The AI is not limited to just recruiting from your own faction. But I personally like to recruit just from my faction / culture, which means I can only recruit from the Valandians. I won't do any recruiting. Even if we were to go to war with these guys and take over this town here, for example, it would still be Empire forces that were recruited from there. Towns do not change culture. Even if you took over the entire map, none of the towns would be your culture. They would stay their original culture, which I'm not a big fan of, but I suppose I understand why they did it. Now, at any rate, starting off, making money is going to be an issue. So what we want to do is, now that I've got enough forces, you're going to look for towns that have notables. Notables are important people in each town that you can talk to, and they will have quests for you. These 3 notables, none of them have a quest for me. We'll just keep looking. There are also notables inside the towns, but I don't like dealing with them because they are bandits. See, this guy, this means he has a quest, so we'll talk to him. Deliver the herd to Ortesia. Well, Ortesia is right here. So he wants to give us a herd of animals to deliver them over here, and he's going to pay us. I think I'm going to do, well, he's going to give us some troops also. We're already at 18, and 20 is our limit. We'll do it anyway. They know me as Joe. Mark it down. You shall be hearing a lot of me. I'm Ethenbold. I've lived here all my life working the land, as do my kin. A lot of the people here in Savanth, the common farmers and craftsmen like me, they like me to speak for them. It's good to meet you. Remember, there is no currency in this world more valuable than the weight of your word. So speak truthfully with me, and I shall do the same with you. Okay, I've heard you need some help with a problem. Some of the families in this village need to raise a bit of money. They put together a herd of 10 Midland palfrey, those are horses, to sell in Ortesia. But with all the banditry on the roads, they can't drive it there on their own. We're not merchants or landowners. We can't afford any losses. All right, well, tell me how I can help. If you're going in the direction of Ortesia, you can perhaps take our herd there to Sora the Boulder. Some villagers will come along as well to help you dry the animals. Any other way? Well, if you have... the reason that's there is if you have companions in your party, you can hire people to work for you, and you can assign one of them to do it if you didn't want to do it. But since I don't have any companions, I'll do it, and he's going to pay me 400 dinars. All right, I'll do it. So let's see how many. Looks like he only gave me one because we went from, one peasant. Good, we didn't go over our limit. So basically all you do is just run over to Ortesia and hopefully get paid for it and not get ambushed on the way. Now, I'm sure it looks better graphically if you zoomed in to see what's going on, but then there's a big chance you're going to run into somebody you don't want to. I like to zoom out so I can see where the horse is going, where my quote-unquote group is going. All right, so he said Sora the Boulder. Here she is, so we can click on her and talk or quick talk. Now, the difference is what I did the first time was quick talk. We just immediately started talking to them. What you can also do is take a walk around the town center. And it will actually load the interior of the town. And here we are in the town itself. It's nighttime, so there's not a whole lot going on. Now, pressing the Alt key, which is the left Alt, lets you see what's in the town. So as we scroll around looking for Sora the Boulder, which is directly in front of 70 meters away. I actually do not know if Sora is going to be available since it's nighttime. Well, it looks like she is. Alright, well, let's talk to her. Yes, you need something from me? Who are you? They know me as Joe. Mark it down. You'll be hearing a lot from me. I'm Sora. Ask about me. You'll learn I'm someone you don't want to mess with. Remember what I was telling you about? I don't like dealing with these people because they're gangs. They're all gang leaders and gang members. I don't care for that. But since I'm delivering this quest, I have to deal with her. Alright, about the task Ethenbold of Savanth gave me. Yes, sir. Our mutual friend Ethenbold of Savanth sent word to us. He told us to expect you with 10 head of his Midlands palfrey. I bought 10 heads. Here they are. Now, if I was an unsavory character, I could say I'm going to keep the herd for myself. Or, sorry, I don't have any animals for you at this time. But, of course, that's not me, so here's your horses. Deliver the herd. I got 400 gold. and my relationship increased with Ethanbold. Now, the reason that's important is, as I said, the higher your relationship is, the higher tier units you can recruit from them. Let's leave by pressing and holding tab. I'm going to put this back outside. Now we're going to run back to 7th. See how close we are. We needed 11. Again, it's very difficult when you're first starting out. I really enjoy, look at it, 24 looters. I really enjoy getting cavalry units, but it's very difficult to get cavalry units when you're first starting out because you don't have any relations with anyone. And they're not obviously a starting out unit type. They're a little more advanced. Alright, so 7th. Ethanbold is the guy we talked with. So I have 4 now, and I need a 5 to get the next range, and I need 10 to get these, 10 to get this, and 20. So if we have 20, you can get every unit from here, the basic units all the way up to the higher level units. That's why you want to work on those quests to improve the relationships, because you're going to want the higher tier units at some point. Let's see what kind of... Okay, in this particular instance, we're going to walk around the village. So let's take a walk through the lands. Okay, now we're inside the village. We need to find that character. So we're going to hold Alt. There he is, right there. And I do like the village scene. See, this is Oceanside Village. There's the ocean right there, or at least a body of water. There's Aldrich. Villagers walking around. Ah, they're cooking some food over there. Look at that food. Okay, we'll talk to this fella. You can see I have my mace on my side and my spear. Don't have any other armor though, really, to speak of. Oh, I pressed the wrong button, didn't I? I don't want to punch him. I want to talk to him. Okay, sorry, don't think I know you. They know me as Joe. Mark it down. You should be hearing a lot of me. He says he's Aldrich. He's lived here all his life. The common people want him to talk to him, and he needs some help. And the harvest has been poor. The rats have eaten much of our stores. We can eat less and tighten our belts, but if we don't have seed grain left over to plant, we'll starve next year. Is there a way to prevent this? Well, we can get him 33 bushels of grain, which cost around 1,000 dinars in the market. They just don't have that. So he knows I'm busy, but he wants me to find the grain. So I'll go and find some grain for it. There's some pigs over there. Alright, well, we're going to leave this and get his 33 bushels. Now, I usually just run to the, even though they say the town probably doesn't have it this late in the season, the town will usually have it. And if you forget how many, you just click on the quest and it tells you 33 units of grain. Let's see what they have here. Trade. See, they have 93. Holding shift will give you 5 at a time. So we're over our max. I went ahead and got 35, but I also had some of my own, so that moves us over our maximum allowed capacity. But that's fine. Oh, I don't have enough money. That's the problem. All right, well, let's back out a little bit. 34. Now I've got enough money. That will leave us 4 for our own personal use. But at the same time, they'll pay us. He's going to give us this, so we won't be totally broke. We'll go back to him. Since we've already walked around the village, I'm just going to give him a quick talk. Here is your grain. And he gives me 400. This is the beginning game. Just going around trying to improve your status with these guys, because that is how you recruit troops. Again, the higher status you have with them, the better quality of troop you can recruit from. So this is what you do when you start out. Now there are other things you can do. You can go into the towns, and towns will have a arena, and in the arena they may be having a tournament. You can enter the arena and you can fight, but well, we'll enter the arena. This is the arena, and you can see there's people out there fighting right now. The problem is, for me, I am not good at it. I really am not good at it. Not only can you fight in the arena, but you can bet on yourself, and there's prizes. Talk to this fella here, and he'll tell you everything you need to know about it. But I tell you what, I probably will do this. But it will have to be on the... I don't think I want to do this one. There's another thing about tournaments is, depending on what region you're in, obviously we're in Valandia right now, is the type of weapon you're more likely to use, because you don't use your own weapons. They give you weapons to use. You can see in this game, this one guy closest to us has got a spear and no shield. The guy he's fighting has got a sword and a shield. And the guy he's fighting now just has a sword with no shield. So not everybody has the same type of weapon or protection. And if you go to Botanians, I think there's a Sturgeons, you're more than likely to use a two-handed weapon, which means you cannot have a shield. If you go down to the south in the deserts, you're more than likely to have scimitars or real thin swords. And if you go to the east, the steppes, you're more than likely to have bows. And on horseback, you can actually be on horseback in these tournaments. But at any rate, I'll look at that at the next one. We cannot save while we're inside these little scenes. So we want to leave that and then save. Adios.